Migrant hotels have been at the centre of clashes between rival protest groups in the UK for weeks, but the explosive tensions are well and truly reaching breaking point. British comedian and YouTuber Constantine Kisson, whose account goes by the name of Trigonometry, took to the epicentre of the protests at Canary Wharf Hotel, where migrants are being housed by the UK government to talk to both sides. But bizarrely, the anti-racism, pro-migrant side did not want to speak.
I'm just curious, what brings you here?
I told you I'm not going to speak to you.
Okay,
So
why not?
Because we don't give interviews to far right.
You don't give interviews to far right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not far right, I'm an immigrant myself, actually.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
Where you're from and you're being very forceful, so...
Well, I just want to speak to people, that's why I'm here, that's all.
The mood was, however, very different on the other side, with anti-migration protesters very vocally pushing their cause.
Why are they separated from asylum-seeking families? Their own faiths, their own religions, their own backgrounds, their own cultures. They've been separated from them. Why? Why if they're not risk? Why on it? What?
Anti-migrant protests have been popping up across the UK outside migrant hotels since the sexual harassment charges were laid on an asylum seeker in Epping, Essex.
In Britain this weekend, as we speak, there have been an unprecedented number of rallies, protests, marches and so on against immigration. Now, this is a massive backlash against years, really, where, and it's still going on, where people are silenced in Britain if they raise any questions about immigration. As I said before, they're immediately called a racist, and the police will knock on their door in the middle of the night because they said something on social media posts that they were uncomfortable about the number of illegal immigrants in the local hostel, and so on and so forth. Well, now the people of Britain seem to have had enough. There have been unprecedented number of protests across the country. Of course, you won't see this on most of the mainstream news. But here's a one woman speaking up. Have a listen.
We are the mothers of Nuneaton, the mothers of England. We will no longer be silenced. Stop the rape of our children.
Stop the rape of our children. That also, obviously, James, has echoes of the Rotherham scandal and so on.
The Rotherham scandal, which is massive, and it still is reverberating today. You know, thousands of white girls raped by, mostly, it has to be said, Pakistani migrants. And the thing is that today you've got still boats coming every single day. And the thing that really galls people in the UK is, you know, it's not that they're anti-migrant. It's the fact that they see these migrants being snuck into their communities, put into hotels, put up, given, hotels, food, shelter, welfare, everything, while there's huge waiting lists for housing. There's a huge housing crisis in Britain. And, you know, there's every single day or week, you hear stories about people who've just arrived and then committed some sort of allegedly unspeakable crime. And people are absolutely fed up. The Starmer government, Labour, in fact, all of official Britain now is absolutely terrified that the country is coming apart. And so instead of dealing with the problem, they've turned on the British people. This is just horrific for democracy. It's horrific for free speech. It's horrific for liberty. And, you know, this is the issue that is going to tear the country apart. It is why reform is doing so incredibly well.
But the protests have gone beyond the one alleged incident. Some Brits are growing increasingly frustrated with taxpayers footing the bill for asylum seekers while the rest of the country battles a cost of living crisis.
In the UK, illegal migrants who cross the channel are being put up in hotels with 4-poster beds, buffets for breakfast, and your choice of sporting entertainment. These hotels are usually heavily guarded, so no one really knows what goes on inside, but one man has managed to go undercover and get inside and expose what's really happening.
When I thought of the term illegal migrant hotel, I definitely had a far less luxurious accommodation in my mental image. So aside from music for entertainment, there is other provisions as well, like access to multiple different types of sports equipment, including cricket. If you fancy having 10 eggs for your breakfast, take 10 eggs.
What's on the menu? Hash browns, beans, hash browns, salad, eggs, tomatoes.
They are taking the British taxpayer for a ride. There are 32,000 asylum seekers in the UK being put up in 210 hotels, all on the dollar of the British taxpayer. While British families are struggling with a cost of living crisis, struggling with surging energy prices, struggling to keep a roof over their heads, you have 36,000 illegal migrants being put up in hotels across the country. We've seen protests in the UK erupt around a lot of these hotels, and while there are some unsavory characters that have tried now to hijack this issue and just cause chaos and protests, I understand the incredible frustration and resentment these people must feel towards not necessarily the migrants personally, but certainly the government who has allowed this situation where you have millions and millions of pounds being spent housing illegal migrants.
And it should be clear, this was going on under the Tories as well, but it has become much worse under the Labor government. I mean,
Outspoken commentator Douglas Murray placed blame squarely on the government and blasted them for censoring the growing dissenting voices and sweeping the issue under the rug.
Now, this is an interesting revelation in the Times from a police commissioner, Donna Jones, who says a government minister, she doesn't name which minister, pressured her over a statement she made suggesting mass uncontrolled immigration was a factor behind last summer's riots. The minister told her, no, you're wrong. The riots had nothing whatsoever to do with immigration.
They just won't admit it, will they? They'll never, ever admit it, because if they were to admit it, they'd have to take responsibility. And that's the last thing that these politicians want to do. They never want to take responsibility. They push everything under the rug. They will point to anything other than the causes of the problem. Yes, there is significant and growing dissent in the UK, as in so many other countries, about the feeling that taxpayers have that they're basically being taken advantage of, that they are having the mickey taken out of them by rule breakers, having all these advantages and all these disadvantages accruing to the people who are already here. And it's just so obvious. It's happened in recent weeks with the protests in Epping. Now we have the situation where the illegal migrants who are being housed in the so-called migrant hotel in Epping were moved. They were moved to a place called Canary Wharf, a very rich area of London's financial district. And they were moved there. And first of all, the police and the authorities said to people, don't speculate on where they're going. There's no evidence that they're going to this hotel. Lo and behold, they were going to that hotel in Canary Wharf. What was the reaction? Some locals then protested there as well. And then the police issued an order saying you can't protest there. So what are people meant to do? I mean, what are they meant to do if they don't like this? We're ignored. We are told that what we see with our eyes is not true. We're told that stories that happen every single day have not happened. And the crackdown always, again, is not on the illegal migrants. It's not on the rule breakers. The crackdown is always on the law-abiding citizens who start to feel they've had enough.